Get ready and strap in for the One Love HTX show, where all our conversations are always raw, unfiltered, and never staged. We can also be found on Instagram, all major streaming platforms, and westcliff.org. Check us out at onelovehtx.org for more info or ways to support the show. Now get ready to dive into conversations you won't always have in church with your hosts, Joshua Duffy and Daniel Salsi.
Yes.
You are having a good time there. All right. How's that guitar?
You hit the high note last time.
You're
on
a
guitar.
drummer.
I know.
You should
It's
have
that
came
obvious.
in with the drums.
I know.
Welcome back to another episode of One Love HTX, westcliffclimb.org, and Pilgrim Church, Houston, Texas. We're all here. The trifecta.
It's all here.
Loving it. All right. So we are back again. Another episode, having a good time.
Yeah.
This one, we're Transactional Jesus. I gotta start this with a story, and I want to get your input on this. So I'm going to change the names to protect the innocent. So,
What kind of names are we going to go with here? This is.
how about?
See, once you said that, now you've opened up a possibility for.
Yeah,
I mean,
I'm gonna make some good names as we go along.
I can't wait now.
So first off, it's me, so I can't change that one.
Oh, okay.
So I'll tell you my story. So I was talking to a friend. We'll just call him DeMarcrillo right now. Is that a good one? DeMarco? We'll call him DeMarco. I don't know. I was trying to come
There's
up with...
no way you're going to remember the name DeMarco midway through this story. It's impossible. I was anticipating like Bill, Ted,
All right,
Jeff,
we'll go with Bill.
DeMarco.
We'll go with Bill. Hey, you challenge me and you expect me to be
It's
normal.
a 3-syllable name. It's over. Just add a last name while you're at it. Just go full first.
Ron Stanalio. DeMarcrillo, Ron Stanalio. Oh, okay. This is hurting.
Just start over. New episode. Here we go.
So there I was talking to Bill. All right, no. Let me start with this story. This is how it all began. And we're going to get into this transactional Jesus and what this is and what to make of it. I just recently had been kind of going through some things in my life, as we all do.
Yeah.
And just found myself in a little bit of a depression and trying to figure out what was going on. And a lot of it has to do, I discovered, with just dealing with what's happening in the world. And that rolls over into a lot of things. It rolls over into my work, which is real estate and the market and what's happening and freaking out. And long story short, I'm telling my friend, because I was really excited. I was like, I've been here for so long and it's been quiet and it's been dead. And, we're not doing what I would love for us to be doing, but we're sustaining. And that's where, I finally realized I'm sitting there in prayer one day and I realized that what I was focusing on, and I had to apologize to God. Like, I was like, wait a second, I'm so sorry for not seeing that we haven't missed a bill, that we haven't missed a meal, that we haven't, nothing. Everything's been good. But I'm going, why aren't I, able to buy that jet ski right now and the second and third and fourth house or whatever it is, and I want to be doing more and more. Why, blah, blah, blah. And then I realized, wait a second, the world is in shambles, and it could be a lot worse. And my Father has sustained me. And I apologize. I was like, Lord, I'm sorry for whatever you want to do. You're in control of it all. I don't want to focus on the wrong things. I don't want to focus. If you don't think I can handle that jet ski, if you don't think I can handle all that other stuff, then so be it. But if you think I can, great.
Yeah.
But the second half of it, I told my friend, because he was just listening to me, Bill, I go, but the bigger thing was I realized that I was just focusing on the wrong things. Like I wasn't even putting Jesus in it.
Right.
I was just putting my wants and my needs and what I think I should have. And when I realized that, I shifted not only my thoughts, my heart, my vision, everything over, and I was just in a thankful position.
Yeah.
And then, and where I really got this was, and this is going to sound funny, I was telling this story. I went fishing because I just needed to get out. And I was having this moment where I was all alone at Lake Somerville, and I was wade fishing about chest high, throwing the rod over and over again. And for the first time, my wife is the person that loves nature, and she loves animals and creation and everything, and she sees the intricacy of things. And I always thought she was like, going off on some crazy thing, but I started to really appreciate that when I'm sitting there. I literally sat there. This is going to sound funny, but I was like, I am sitting in a substance. I'm standing in a substance that God created, that's cooling, that's refreshing, that life is in, roaming around me, and I'm trying to catch it. And I'm looking up at the clouds, and I'm seeing the bluest of sky with the biggest marshmallowy clouds everywhere, and the plants and the sounds and the ducks. And I'm like, man, Lord, you're an amazing creator.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry I've been so caught up in what I don't have versus what you've given me and sustained me with, and also the beauty that's all around me of your creation. And I told my wife this too. I said, it's unfortunate that we've kind of gotten to this place where we're almost in golden handcuffs in life, because we have a big house, and we have 2 cars, and it's like, ooh, what did it feel like for Adam and Eve to just be sustained?
Right.
I'm kind of jealous when I started thinking about that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just got thankful. And as I was saying that to God, as I was fishing, I was probably fishing for about an hour and a half at this point with 0 fish. And then all of a sudden, my rod hit. And I went, ooh, but it was an immediate ooh, and then oh. It was the smallest fish I've ever caught in my life. Here's another fish story. The smallest fish is like it was like its brother tugged it, slapped him on the hook, and goes, ha ha, take that. Because when this thing came out of the water, I'm like, it's less than half the size of my hand, and I don't even understand how you got that treble hook in your mouth. It was such a small fish.
Wow.
And as I pulled it in, I'm laughing, and immediately I went, but am I thankful? I caught a fish. Am I thankful? I caught a fish. So anyways, I began, if anyone had pulled up on a boat, they would have been like, this dude's lost his mind, because I was like, I'm so thankful, Lord. Thank you for this one fish in this hour and a half. Thank you for this cooling liquor. I'm literally saying this out loud. I'm going, I am thankful, and I'm sorry I missed it. Thank you for sustaining me, and thank you for even the little. Right?
It's a great story.
So I'm telling my friend this, and then I said, and then all of a sudden, within less than a couple of days, everything began to change. Like the market, the people asking for business, and starting to brew again. And he goes, so it's transactional with God. And I went, no, I don't, that's not what I'm saying at all. He said, well, it sounds like you're saying that, because if you do this, you're going to be here. But if you do this, you'll be even greater over here.
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I think that was always there, but I was missing it.
Yeah.
And what I walked into, and what I see when I began to be thankful, when I was praying even before the fishing trip, and I was realizing, gosh, I'm just being sustained. I started getting out of my depression, and working in my gifts.
Yeah.
And what are my gifts? My gifts are not to go out and talk someone into buying a house. My gifts are just to love people.
Yeah.
And as I began reaching out and contacting and doing the gifts, that's when I began to walk back into, I believe, the blessing, not the transaction of the blessing, but just the blessing. And it's I always saw that, and I said, no, I see God as He's always there. He's always present. We lose sight sometimes and focus on other things, and that's where I was. And the second I turned around, I smacked back into Him again. He was like, I just wanted you to see me. I just wanted you to be here with me.
Yeah.
But you can be in the room. It's just like being in a room with family, but your mind is on something else so much you're not there mentally.
Yeah.
And so I think that's the same thing in a spiritual walk. Am I wrong? I'm having, and so I think sometimes we think that God's a transactional God, and he's not.
Right.
But I think we miss blessings, right? I mean, would you say that? But because we're focused on other things?
Yeah. And I would also say that there's also just like common grace. So number one, there may have been other people out there fishing who don't believe in the creator of any of it. And they sometimes still catch a fish. And sometimes they're under the same sunshine you are and live in the same clouds. Well, why is that? That's, the flip side of this whole thing of our discussion is the opposite is true. There's people don't even acknowledge them, and they're healthy.
Right.
And they have families, and they do well in their job, and like they're given grace, unmerited, unearned success without even acknowledging him, that in God's just what we would call like common grace, they're given.
Right.
They're given beautiful days. They're given health. They're given, in some cases, wealth, and all the things that, that could ever be perceived or understood as blessings, while at the exact same time not even acknowledging the creator and the giver and the author of all those things. Mm-hmm. So that's also a part of the discussion that has to be acknowledged. Is he transactional? No, because the opposite is true. I think there's an interesting thing that goes on because, if you notice, like just blessings that are put upon God, like God puts upon his people, if you were to look at the blessing upon Abraham, the covenant, it's not transactional. It's just flat out like, I'm going to use you. This is what's going to happen in the future. It's not like, I've been noticing you're awesome. It's just, you're the guy, and I'm going to do this through you. Yeah. Here's what's going to happen. Here's how it's going to play out. And even when Abraham is like, I don't trust, and Sarah's like, I definitely don't trust. I'm way too old for this. God still follows it up. Like, why didn't you trust me?
Right.
And you know what? I'm still going to follow through on that. And you look how faithful that is. You look at Noah. That's a blessing. That is a reminder of that covenant. Didn't earn it. It says he's a different kind of guy. He's faithful, but honestly, who earns that boat trip?
Right.
Speaking of boats, like who earns really like being set apart? Just a crew of 8. Like that's mind blowing. And then you get to David, same kind of thing. It's an everlasting covenant. Moses is the closest thing to like, well, here's what I want you to do. But if you look at why he says, this is what I want you to do, what comes before that is, I'm the Lord your God who heard your cries and your pleas. In other words, he makes a relational statement. Because I heard you, because I heard your pain, this is how I want you to live, so you never live and are subject to any version of tyranny, any version of slavery, not just in the physical, not just as a nation, but as individuals, mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, that's the wild thing. If you're even looking like Leviticus, I mean, it's hard to get more technical and, law-driven than Leviticus. It's quite literally the law. But you can look in Leviticus 11, you can look in Leviticus 19, and there's verses that I can't quote to you perfectly right now. But what you'll see is there's a reference in both, kind of bookending all of these dietary laws and how you dress and how you worship and sexual activity and everything of like all these parameters that God is putting on them. It's more or less bookended in Leviticus 11 and again in 19, like his motivation. Right. I want you to be holy, set apart for, and which is overall for your good. Mm-hmm. And that people, when they see you, they see me. So I think that's what sometimes we can get into thinking that God is transactional. And I get how people do the math. I mean, it's everything in our world is transactional. Every relationship can become that. All aspects of our world. So I get how we go into that. And it's really hard to fathom that God would lead with relationship. And God would lead with grace. God would lead with
Right.
Relationship and kindness and mercy and generosity, because he loves his kids.
Yeah. And it's good. And I think that's, if I have to look at the other side of that too, I've been on the other side, with my friend Bill. We'll go back to Bill.
I tried so hard not to laugh earlier when you finally selected a name like Bill.
Well, when I go back there, and the struggle was, I'm telling him this story, and he has this amazing business.
Yeah.
Amazing business that he's struggling in right now. And he's going, well, I'm a good person.
Yeah.
I'm doing the right thing. I'm praying. I'm following him. Why isn't my business? And I don't have the answer for that.
Yeah.
But I think that is the prime opportunity to pray in, talk to God about that stuff.
Yeah.
And because I have been there, and my story isn't necessarily going to be the same as what his story is. I don't know the reason why.
Right.
But I can tell you mine, and I think I've even discussed this one time on here, and it was just the opposite. We had a business that opened up in the middle of COVID, because none of us expected COVID to do what COVID was going to do, right?
Yeah.
So I had people call me and say, "You sure you want to open this business?" The investors and everything, and I said, "Well, it's COVID. We've been through bird flu. We've been through all this stuff. Like, seriously, how bad is it going to get?" That was my response, and their response was like, "You're probably right. How bad is it going to get? Not going to be that bad." And we were destroyed in that. Our business failed.
Wow.
And it was some of the most, if I really have to look back and talk about that, it was some of the most worshipful time I've ever had in my life. Being in that business on my own at night, after hours, jamming worship music and just praying and asking why. And there was depression going on there too, but there was a comfort.
Yeah.
My eyes were,
man.
and it went away, and I saw things afterwards. And that's, I think, a friend said it best the other day. He's like, sometimes you just got to chalk it up to the mysteries of God and just wait on Him. Is that enough for you? Is that okay, or do you want the answer now? And it wasn't until later I saw that it repaired things in our family that I could have never done on my own.
Yeah.
Through that tragedy. I mean, through the loss of a business, through the loss of lots of money, but it didn't destroy us. It made us stronger in ways that I can't purchase.
Right.
So,
wow.
Yeah. So that, to me, I could say the same thing. Like, I'm doing great. I'm following you. I'm doing everything. Why aren't you? And it's just the mystery of God, the things that He does and the things that He knows that are so much better. That golden handcuff isn't the best thing for you.
And it's a hard pill to swallow.
Oh, it's very hard.
Like that God kind of does. Not kind of. I was just trying to soften it. I don't know why. God does whatever God is going to do.
100%.
And what I love about your story, how you opened, is like the first thing, like the first act of praise is just acknowledging blessing. That's unmerited and unearned. And a great example, like, it's the cousin of Jesus, John the Baptist. It's Jesus who says, none born of a woman is greater than John the Baptist.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know that you can get a higher recommendation. Like, who's the best? He is. That's it. And Jesus, like, puts the stamp on that. And it's pretty wild, because what happens is John the Baptist ends up in a prison cell, detained for really doing the right thing, calling out an individual in power for carrying on with a marriage that is not God honoring. So even what got him arrested, he was in the right for what he did and what he said. This individual then has, a daughter come out, stepdaughter, and with some kind of seductive dance, striptease, whatever, then agrees, I want his head taken off. That's how he loses his head. That's how he loses his life. I want his head on a platter. That's what she wants. And he obliges.
Right.
At the end of that dance. And at a party, nonetheless. Like, what a despicable way for a life to end in a more disrespectful manner that human beings could come up with. And leading up to that, I mean, even the disciples of, the followers, so to speak, of John the Baptist are like, hey, like, is he the one? Like, are you the one, Jesus? Like, we're all trying to make sure, like, everyone's having doubts because, and I think maybe even John the Baptist to a degree may have been struggling, like, because as we understood it, like, you set the captives free, right?
Right.
Like, you're over everything. This is your boy, right? Like, and Jesus makes this interesting statement, and he leaves out the element of the captives going free. Talks about healing and authority and power that would be foretold about Jesus, but he leaves that out, and that's how John the Baptist dies.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, if there's ever been someone who could have gone, what are we doing here? And yet you see that Jesus, and this grieves Jesus in the loss. Mm-hmm. But you do see this isn't a transaction.
Right.
John the Baptist was going to be used in a powerful way, and John the Baptist loved God, but it isn't a transaction. It's about being faithful, and those are easy words for me to say on a podcast. It's a whole nother thing when you're losing your business and watching something slowly die, or a person you love slowly slip away. These are words you and I are using, and it's easy to come off, the tip of the tongue. It's a whole nother thing when you're in the midst of it, in that pit, and every day and every second is brutal. And so I want to be, sensitive to that reality, to the people that are hearing us that are suffering or hurting right now, and they're in the middle of what you're talking about.
Right.
But he's not transactional, because why leave the glory and the splendor and the perfection of heaven for this? I mean, there's the ultimate no transaction. The only transaction that happens is his innocent suffering, death, and blood that is shed is more precious than silver and gold. The only transaction that happens is he buys a wayward and lost humanity. That's the only transaction, truly. I'm going to pay for you. You did not earn it. You did not merit it. You don't deserve it in any way, shape, or form. But I'm going to do this, and I'm going to trade my life. And the cost of buying you in this quote-unquote transaction, acquiring you for eternity, is going to cost me my life, and I'll do it willingly. And so I think we all get sideways, and we all can feel ripped off, but probably the most confounding, confusing of all transaction conversations is Jesus leaving heaven.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. No, I would be lying if I said I've never struggled with that. I mean, obviously you heard my two stories. And
I've been there too.
Yeah.
Right there with you. Yeah.
So is it? And this is what I'm seeing when I look at my own stories. It's like there's times when I'm looking at the temporary, and there's times when I'm looking at the eternal.
Yeah.
And what makes the difference? The temporary, why do we sit there for so long? That's the crazier part.
Yeah.
And again, guilty over and over and over again. Why do we sit in the temporary so long? But when we can get our eyes fixed on the eternal, it changes everything.
Everything. Yeah.
But why is it so hard to get there? And why do we? Because we're human, right? I mean, it's part of that, practicing. I always heard people say practice your faith muscles, and but that's true. To walk into that, and you've got to try it out. You've got to get experiences under your belt. You have to trust. You have to learn the character of who God says He is, because He is. But if you never walk into it, if you never try to go towards it, you don't get the experiences and the.
That's it.
Right. So.
And we're not quick to surrender.
No.
And most of us, I would be one of these people. I have to be worked over to submission to where I have no energy left. I'm convinced it's never going to work. I'm dead to rights. I'm beyond frustrated. I'm beyond out of ideas. And I finally, when you finally break, okay.
Doesn't it always seem to happen that way?
You got it. I get it. It's never going to work out. I'm out of ideas. I'm out of energy. I'm out of my own self-determined, whatever, ability, whatever, however you want to think of it, I'm at zero.
Right.
And a lot of times, that's the way some of us, maybe most of us, maybe all of us, I don't know, have to get to that place before we're like, okay, I got it. You're in control.
And you just said that something. So that has to do with the authority and the directions that we've already been given. That again, and we kind of talked about this on the last podcast, is, but we don't want that. We want it to go our way, right? I want to choose this. And very clearly, and I actually said this one to my friend Bill, that even though going back to the beginning with Adam and Eve, right? They lived in a place of everything was done. It was met, and there was no needs, no wants really.
Yeah.
Right. And it wasn't until after that. But what did God tell them? And this just clicked on my head. Was there was a directive that you're going to work the land, right?
Yeah.
He said that.
Yeah.
So that being said, that doesn't mean. I mean, that's a clear directive. You're going to work the land. So if you don't work the land, what's the other way to do it? Well, I can go steal.
Yeah.
I can hope someone else works the land and I'll take from them, or I'll go kill them, or do whatever.
Yeah.
Does it end up well? No, it never ends up well. And then we finally come back, kind of what you're saying, to what we've been told. There is a process and there's an obedience to it. And that's where I always find myself. And that's where my wife usually comes in. I've said this over and over again, where I've spent days, weeks, months trying to figure out what the answer is. And then she says, well, have you prayed about it?
How dare you?
Well, no. In other words, well, have you given this to God? Have you told him? Have you petitioned to him and told him your grievances? Because you're allowed to do that. Are you allowed to be upset with God? I've been upset with God several times.
Yeah.
He can take it.
Yeah.
I gotta be careful, but I mean, quite honestly, I go back again. I remember a day when I was literally using curse words at God because I was so mad. I look back at it now, I'm like, what an idiot. Thank you for not striking me down. But that was my heart. And I think as a good father, he saw that. And he was gentle with me and spoke to me in those moments. And I was able to see different things. But again, it's like, when do we finally just give it to him? Because again, that's not transactional. It's like, again, who I see God to be, there is no bad in him, right?
Yeah.
And knowing his character more and more and more, he everything works. What's that verse? Everything works for the
good of those who love him.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so, does that mean there's not going to be chaos? Does it mean that the world's all around me?
Yeah.
And the world's doing some weird things, aka right now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So, but how is it manageable? Is it different with him versus without him? 100%. And I think that is a tough thing. Again, with Bill, I'm like, I don't know what to tell you. I can tell you my experiences. I don't know if it's going to work out in the same way, but what are you focusing on right now?
Well, and I think that's where, like, you look at Jesus, where you go to Matthew chapter 5, Matthew chapter 6, Matthew chapter 7. So it's all one message. Mm-hmm. So even when we kind of take little there's nothing wrong with taking sections out of that and reading it in isolation, but it is helpful to understand that's actually all one Sermon on the Mount.
Right.
And what Jesus manages to do in that message is he highlights motivation. And that starts to come out. It's not just what you do according to the law, according to a transactional view of God. It's also, why do you do it? It's not even enough of like doing the right thing. He begins to highlight that you can do the right thing and do it for the wrong reason. And you're still outside of God's actual perfect standard of righteousness. So you didn't actually go after this other woman. You didn't actually ask for her phone number as a married man. You just thought and lusted after her. And he's like, yeah, that's adultery. You didn't actually take the club and beat somebody over the head and kill them. You just thought about it. And he's like, yeah, that's murder. So he's he starts to invade the human heart and invade our idea of how to appease and please God. And he's doing that because there are people who think they can work the transaction. And he starts, in that whole sermon, he starts highlighting how incredibly impossibly high his standard is. Which is, if you're doing the right thing, fine. But I know if you're doing it for the wrong reason. That's what he wants people to understand. So he starts to kind of take, you know what I mean? It's like if we were like a piece of chalk and you just start grinding it down into the pavement. And what happens when you do that? Like after a while, it slowly just becomes powder, and it's building up powder. Before you know it, if you did that long enough, what was this, piece of chalk standing high, now it's just a pile of powder. And, this would be the analogy, and I've used this in one of the westcliff.org talks. Go to westcliff.org. In that, if you think about it, okay, like, right, you had that piece of chalk, and it's just put it on end, and you were to blow on it as hard as you could, you're going to knock it over. And that may be the best outcome of how far it'll move. But once you've ground it into powder and you blow, right, it's everywhere. It could go 10 times the distance. It can have 10 times the effect. It can go in every direction that it never could have traveled, never could have done before it was ground to nothing. So, I liken that to the Holy Spirit. It's like when you want to do it your way and you want to stand tall your way and the Spirit breathes, yeah, you're going to fall over, and maybe you'll fall on your face, and maybe you would have learned something, and that's fine. The hardest part is when you are in that mode and God is just grinding you down to nothing. But the difference is when the Spirit comes along and breathes life into that situation, it's infinitely further, wider, higher. But now he's the one has got you in the disposition. He's ground you into nothing in those circumstances. And now you're clear. Like, this isn't a transaction. It's not a game. I can't earn your favor. You gave it to me. I can't earn your grace. You gave it to me. I didn't earn this identity. You placed it upon me. Even this thing called faith is a gift. I didn't even earn that. I didn't buy it. No, you willingly gifted it to me. And then you secured it in your own way that I couldn't even secure it, and you did it. And now I'm in this situation where I've got nothing. I realize I deserve nothing. I've got nothing left. And now I'm exactly where you want me to be, to go where you want me to go, to do the things you want me to do. And even when I'm now flying higher than I ever have and further and everything else, I now know, it, that I did not deserve or earn what's happening right now. You're the wind behind it. You're the power behind it. You're the one making this happen. And unfortunately, that's the only way we get perspective. It's just, unfortunately, and the people that we know that are in that, we can love them and support them as God just slowly, on the concrete.
Right.
But he's going to do something with that.
Yeah. That's the big, the trust factor there.
Oh, that's easy to say.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about it as you're saying it, I'm like, yeah. But I'm like, but someone's going to have to tell me this again one day.
Well, yeah.
It's going to come.
I don't want to be that.
Right.
I don't want to do that again. I'm sure it's coming.
Yeah.
Not my fave.
Yeah. And I've gotten to the point, just like with Bill. I just happened to be telling him my story. So when I heard his story back, there was a time in my life where I was like, probably Job's friends. Like, I'm like, well, you're probably not doing it, and you're not. And if you would do, and I'm like, whoa, I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, shut up, bro.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on. I just happened to be here telling you my story. It related and connected to you. We started talking about it. I just want to pray for you, and I don't know what the mysteries of God hold for you, but I do know that He's faithful.
Yeah,
I do know that He's faithful, and I do think, again, seeing all this and talking about it, I know that we miss so much in blessings. It reminds me of a story. I was in counseling when Lynette and I were almost divorced. And I was on one of my own sessions, a singular session, and my pastor friend is going through this whole counseling thing and talking about things, and I realized in this moment, and it's a longer story for another day, but I had missed an opportunity that God was calling me to to the ministry, and I just got so depressed. In a snap of the fingers, I was depressed. He was like, "What is wrong with you?" And I go, "I realized a long time ago, I can see that moment when God was calling me to the ministry, and I just couldn't do it because I wasn't willing to die to self. I wasn't willing to give it up yet."
Yeah.
And I said, I totally missed it. And I was just upset. And I remember him looking at me and he goes, "Oh, so what you're saying is," and he's a little smarty pants. He said, "What you're saying is you threw God off. You threw a curveball at him that he didn't see. That he's sitting up there going, oh my gosh, I cannot believe Daniel is missing this prime opportunity." Like, he instilled something in your heart, good and well knowing that you're going to miss this one. But it's okay because what the mysteries that I have awaiting, things that I know that you can't even see, I'm preparing for the future. Mm. And when he told me that, I was like, oh, yeah, that was a hard thing to swallow, because, and that's what I see with all this stuff now, is I'm like, I don't know, but I'm just, we're not missing anything. We're not, he knows where we are, and I just need to get back on track.
Yeah.
I need to get back to the mysteries of my Father, the love of my Father, and focus on that so that I can roll into what he already knows is coming.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a weird thing to think about, too. It's like he knows that we're going to miss. He knows that we're going to miss the mark. He knows that we were going to not choose something. And he knows this moment where I'm going to go, I'm an idiot.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it to you. And it's all part of his love. Ugh, I don't know.
Well, and that parallels with the story of Peter. Like, Peter knew the right answers. Peter was ahead of the curve with everyone else. He knew. And he showed great faith. He was called 3 years earlier. But Peter really didn't understand until he had absolutely wrecked the whole thing. Then he was exactly where he needed to be to understand the big picture of what God was going to do through him. It wasn't during a high five moment. It was on the other side of pretending he didn't even know who Jesus was.
Oh, yeah.
And on the other side of that is when God lovingly allows him to relive his initial calling out on the water, meeting Jesus again in this beautiful way, and having to relive his failure again, gather around a fire with the other disciples, a group of them, and being asked 3 times, God just lovingly just grinding him to powder, and then every time, feed my sheep, feed my lambs, go.
Right.
Now you get it.
Yeah.
Now you get it. And yeah. So I have compassion, and I know you do too, on the people that are in the middle of that process. It's a painful process, and I don't wish it on anyone, but it is beautiful what God does and does through that whole experience.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, cool. So the moral of the story is, don't be the fresh chalk. Be the ground chalk. When you said that, though, I was like, wow, yeah, I definitely want to be blown everywhere and to do things that I can't even see or accomplish on my own.
Yeah.
In the way I am, because that is who I am. It's not a bad thing. It's a great thing.
Yeah.
And especially when it's coming from pure love.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the love that we can't even fully fathom.
That's right. That's right.
And to trust that. But it's also getting to the trust factor, what faith is, and walking into it. In our wavering back and forth, when sometimes it's powerful and sometimes it's just trash.
Yeah, absolutely. So, absolutely.
So good. Yeah. So I agree with you too. Like, I don't know what people are going through out there, and I'm sure there's things that are bigger than, losing a business or, like I did, or struggling with finances at a time, and depression or whatever. But gosh, focus is everything. That's my takeaway that I get all the time, is like, just, I want to focus. I have to pray about that. I have to ask that all the time, because I still get caught up in it. That I'm like, please change my heart. Please change my vision, change
Yeah.
my direction.
Yeah.
If I'm doing something wrong, I trust you with that.
Yeah.
And I'm willing to see it. You know, are we willing to have constructive criticism in our own work world? You know,
Right.
Can we get that constructive criticism in our spiritual world too?
Right.
You know, that's a pride thing. So, whoo, yeah.
You got to pray this one out.
Okay.
You started this ball rolling. Can you remember the name that you threw out initially?
Yeah.
What was it?
DeMarcurio. Escambrillo.
So awesome. It's awesome.
All right, Heavenly Father, we thank you so much again just for the opportunity to be here with so many people across 63 countries that do not talk back to us at all. Well, actually not. We actually have got some people in Arizona and friends out there. So thank you for the responses that we're getting now and the encouragement. And Father, just like that, talking about the story and my story, friends' stories, and so many stories out there, just showing us that you are not a transactional father. You're not. It's not a transactional love. Your love, just like Duffy said, is just pouring out for all of us the grace and the mercy and just the trueness of who you are. Father, I just pray in Jesus' name that you would show us more of that. Help us to understand that it was already done in the biggest way. Just like Duffy said, there was one transaction really, and we didn't deserve it. And you keep coming for that, and you're unchanging in that. You haven't changed your mind. So, Father, we just ask for more understanding, more peace, more wisdom, more knowledge, and a closeness to you. But be merciful with us, because I know sometimes we can fear that if we're asking for your help, that we might get it in a bad way, and that's not who you are. Just be merciful with us. We love you, and thank you again for all that you do. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Woo! See ya.
See ya. Love you guys.